Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Keeping Up With Me HB. Literally as I stood here this morning, I'm like, what happened last week? I think I've gotten to that point in prep where I'm a little bit foggy. There's like that woolly blanket over my brain and I just feel like I'm in a constant haze and it doesn't quite match or align with my body at the moment. So physically, like I'm still feeling okay, but it's like everything has been dull. You've had like that kind of feeling where your brain is just a little bit lazy. That is kind of how this past 7 days has actually felt for me. In my recollection, I think last week we actually took a trip down to St. Pete. I got to have a chat with the costume designer. So Lane and I went over there Wednesday afternoon to take a first look at my theme wear and the bikini for the show. So I am so excited to share that with you guys. The designs are insane, like they're just beautiful. So they were about 50% of the way through that whole process. So we got to sit down and have a look at like all of the decorations, the embellishments, the beading, the feathers, and it was really starting to come to life. So that video is actually going to be coming to you guys here either this Thursday or potentially the next week. We'll see when that gets popped up. I reignited that fire. I guess it's been a hot minute since we've been down and kind of did the initial fittings and things. So as things get really challenging physically, and psychologically with prep, being restricted in calories, lots of training, just feeling generally fatigued. It was nice to kind of get that little reminder of what I'm doing this for. So that was a really busy afternoon. We actually got to do a nice little walk out over to the St. Petersburg Pier. We finished up right at like peak hour traffic, and I think it was going to be like an hour and a half drive to get back to the office, and I still had a whole afternoon of client check-ins. I think I had about 12 clients to still do by the time I got back. So that was a really late night at the office. But what we decided to do, instead of pushing and just sitting in traffic, wasting time, I got my steps in, which I still needed to do. I actually got something to eat, and then thankfully the traffic had died down. So we got back here at like, I don't know, I'm gonna say 7 o'clock. So Wednesday was a really hectic day, and it just meant, bedtime was midnight instead of 11. So sleep has been a little bit compromised on a couple of nights this week, just trying to get through a few extra things. We also had a bunch of performance reviews for our coaching team this week. So that is something that we have really been trying to prioritize and improve for BioLane, in fact, but it's just this particular time in contest prep when things kind of start to just feel, more challenging and that perception of stress goes up. Even though things might not necessarily be changing, just having those extra couple of tasks, I think there's like 5 extra hours a week kind of added into my schedule to, plan for those and then sit down with our team. I just have felt myself kind of getting a little bit extra stress. So on the weekend, thankfully, we actually planned to have a bit of downtime. So Lane and I are organized to go to, it's called the JW Marriott. It's a new hotel downtown that's, I think, probably been up for about a year now, but they have a really, really lovely spa. I had the chance to go there with some girlfriends for a birthday earlier in the year, and I thought, you know what, I just need some R&R, like just woo-saw moments. So we went and got a massage at the spa and sat down, and it was, when we came out, it was actually like drizzling. And I said to Lane, I'm like, this is just so nice just to be sitting down on a couch. Like couldn't remember the last time I sat down. So that was good. And that was kind of paired with the high intensity HIIT cardio that I had earlier in the morning. So I kind of got that all done on Sunday morning. Absolutely went after it. I had to start increasing my training intensity in order to keep my energy expenditure high. So it was kind of nice to wind down the end of the day with that. So on that note, something that you may actually find, guys, if you are incorporating some high intensity cardio into your training schedule, is that the fitter you get as your cardiovascular adaptations are starting to take place, how much energy you expend in that training session will actually start to go down. And it'll go down for a couple of reasons. The first thing is if you are in fat loss and you are losing weight, now you have less physical mass. So the amount of energy that's required to perform that same 30 minutes of HIIT cardio actually starts to decrease. Not to mention the adaptations, those cardiovascular adaptations. So normally I will train with my watch on, and it was really interesting. The last time I hopped on the stair mill to do these intervals, I usually track on the high or the hard intensity my heart rate probably sits in the mid 170s for that 1 minute that I get after it. And then when I drop back down to the rest interval, which is like a level 8 on the Stairmaster, my heart rate will drop back down to somewhere in the high 150s, maybe low 160s. But just the last 2 times, those high intervals were starting to get a little bit easier, and I didn't even crack 170. I was thinking, okay, I need to start trying a little bit harder to make sure that these sessions I'm expending the same amount of calories so that my calorie deficit remains in that same space so I can continue to lose. So Sunday morning, I just committed to every single interval at like level 15. Oh my God, my heart rate definitely got back to where it was when I first started the prep and doing those intervals, but it was just like, wow, the amount of effort that was required to do that was so high. But I have been finding that the motivational videos have really been getting me through them. So interestingly, I used to train exclusively just to like some kind of hardcore training music. I usually listen to like alternate rock, but that seems to work best for my lifting. So anything that's like strength related, anything under like a 6 rep max, I have to listen to heavy metal. It's like, it requires almost this kind of like an anger to get you to the place where you know you've got to lift something that could potentially put you on your ass. So that kind of music has always worked pretty well, but it doesn't have the same carryover for me when it comes to the cardio stuff. So I tried listening to a little bit of like, I don't know, pop music or electronic dance music. I was like, maybe that'll get me through. It didn't. So motivation, like that stuff has really helped me. There was a moment in my workout on Sunday. I'll have to put the link up to the particular video that I was listening to. I think the YouTube handle is Matthias M. I feel like he's probably got over 3 million subscribers. It's something crazy like that. And each of his videos that he puts together draws upon, you know, different artists, celebrities, Hall of Famers, elite athletes, you know, people that are at the top end, and they kind of all share a little bit of their insight to their success or their personal journey. But it's kind of got this motivating music that goes with it. So like the halfway mark where I'm starting to really fatigue, there was something that came on, it really resonated with me. It was talking about pushing to your best, and you might not be at your best at this moment, but you can always do better than your previous best. You know, that got me thinking, like, I don't think I'm anywhere near where I want to be, not just in that particular moment training for a physique sport, but I was thinking about like business life, my personal life, all these other things were going through my mind. And I'm like crying on the damn Stairmaster and getting all emotional. I'm like, God, I hope no one's watching me right now. But like, that was what I needed to kind of get me through that session, because it was so difficult. If you get a chance to listen to some of his work, please do. I'll pop some links in the description for you to have a look at. But I feel like that really supports me through those kind of challenging times, or even if I'm having a really hard day, just having something like that to kind of listen to, because I don't always have the time to just sit down and read something. And I really love the aspect of self-development. So that was really good. And I think you guys will probably benefit from that if you want to do better and improve or get through like a really challenging day. So anyway, that was my week, I guess, from a training perspective. Things are just kind of flatlining at the moment. Haven't seen any PRs this week. I'm just maintaining all of my lifts. But let's go and have a look at my nutrition for the week. I guess we'll start off with my weight. So we know I got a huge calorie drop last week. Well, actually I set that intentionally. So I did that to myself, just knowing what I think I still need to lose to be ready. So my targets this week, we'll go quickly and have a look, 1302. Just deathly. So I brought my protein down a little bit just to spare me some more calories towards carbs for training. So I've dropped that down to 144 grams of protein. My carbs are a very sad looking 114, and my fats pretty much on the lowest end that I can possibly take them at the moment, which is 30 grams. And I must say, it's probably one of the hardest weeks of food in my life. I feel like I had to eat the same thing for 3 meals of the day just in order to feel satiated. So breakfast was like 500 grams of stir-fried veggies with enchilada sauce, insert protein. Meal 2, 500 grams of veggies, insert new sauce, insert new protein, like just for diversity. After just having veggies, just veggies, I had like 7 grams of carbohydrates left, like after all of that for nothing. I'm like, wow, this is great. A rice cake. Woo! So yeah, it was really hard. And again, this just kind of goes to show why it's so important. If you are dieting for a show or something that is meaningful and you aren't tracking your vegetables, they still contain carbohydrates. They're obviously a greater percentage of water than most foods, but their macronutrient is carbohydrates. So make sure if you are somebody that has a large quantity of veggies, that you're incorporating that as part of your macro targets, because yeah, 90 grams, 95 grams of my entire day was just vegetables. So there you go. But anyway, back to my weight. Last week, I can't remember what my weekly average was. It might have been, let me just scroll across and have a look here. 64.8 kilograms was my last week's average. And this week, my weekly average is 64.4. So I did have a low weigh-in on Sunday of 63.2, but that was on account of Saturday, me not having the same amount of fiber as I usually do. So I think I'd been averaging about 24, 25 grams on most days because of all those veggies. And then on Saturday, I had one meal where we ate out, and like there wasn't any vegetables on the menu that weren't either doused in oil or that they were able to, like they hadn't already pre-made them, or they weren't covered in garlic and onion, which you know I can't eat, IBS. So I didn't get very much fiber in on Saturday. As a consequence, my weight was very low at 63.2 on Sunday. So, you know, it's a little bit skewed. So hopefully it doesn't influence my numbers when I check in today too significantly. But anyway, it did trend down on those really horrible calories, and I'm so glad that it did. I think I would have just about died if nothing happened after all that sacrifice. So that was my weight. Calories, you're going to be so proud of me, guys. Just check this out. I averaged 1298 for the week. Oh my God, that just makes me like, ah. Anyway, so it was very consistent. You can see there, 1291, 1196, 1368, 1050 on Friday. Clearly I was rushing around that day. 1250 and 1244. So just that one high day on Monday to start the week, because I wasn't sure what my macro targets were going to be because I checked in late and I ate more calories on that day. You can see the amount of sacrifice that I then had to make for the rest of that week just to come out balanced. So calories were rough. Protein did a much better job at not going crazy this week, just knowing what I was in for. So you can see there 160, 150. I don't know what happened Wednesday. Clearly messed up my foods that day a little bit. 196, but 153, 143, and then 150. So a lot more steady than you have seen in the past. And that was me just having to get it together. Carbs, let's come across. Oh, it's amazing. 104 grams was my average. Oh my God. I know why I have brain fog. Okay, 92, 101, 88, dang, 138, 102, and 77. Oh, that's today. We can't include that. We'll just scroll back. So very low for the week. Fats, let's scroll across. God, 19, 24. This is the first time I'm seeing this too, guys. 20, 14, 14. 24, 19. So really quickly, just on that note, I do want to address the question that I often get about dietary fats. Is there an amount that is too low? Can it start to interfere with other, processes within the body? Yes. So on Carbon Diet Coach, we actually have some minimums set, and I believe it's about 25 grams. And that's to ensure that we don't start to become frank deficient in those essential fatty acids. So something that I really make a concerted effort to do when I'm prepping is making sure that I'm just supplementing straight up with an EPA DHA fish supplement or fish oil supplement for those essential fatty acids. I also try to have at least one serving of seafood per day to make sure that I'm getting those omega-3s, and then just thinking about what's the role of fats in the body. So not only is it going to contribute towards our energy provision and getting through potentially some more of those endurance-based type training sessions, less important for what I do. Everything that I do is much more glycolytic. It's primarily using carbohydrates as the primary fuel source. But we have the structural integrity of certain cells. It helps with absorption of fat-soluble vitamins, so A, D, E, and K. If we don't have enough fats in our diets, we cannot absorb those fat-soluble vitamins from our foods that we consume. And the other thing is hormone production as well. So if we are deficient in certain fats, we are unable to actually produce some of those essential hormones that ensure our body is functioning optimally. So I had a couple of days that were very low, and a couple of people had asked me that on my recent video when I was showing my full day of eating, because I think my daily intake came to about 27 grams, but that was right on the cusp. And part of the reason that it was a little bit low was because I was calorie cycling, not intentionally, just I was hungry and I chose to eat protein. And as a consequence, that meant one of those other macros now came down so that my energy balance was still in alignment. So it was low, but it was 2 days. You can see there I had like 14 grams, what was it? Yeah, 14. So I've done it again. But again, I really this week need to focus on making sure that I don't have too many days like this, because I am going to start to see some decrements in my performance, my energy, and just how I'm functioning if I was to let that to happen too many days out of the week. I don't want that to happen. So yes, to answer those questions, there is a minimum. We don't want you to go below 25 grams for those reasons. So anyway, back to the check-in. Let's go and do my actual check-in with the coach. So was I compliant to my macro targets this week? You can see there that the range the coach is giving me is 1265 up to 1339. And I am right within that range at 1298. Everything else is a little bit skewed outside. You can see here for my protein, the range was 140 to 148. I overate protein, but you guys know how I feel about that. If there's one macronutrient that I don't mind trading out a little bit, it is protein. Thinking about that preservation of lean body mass, especially during the diet. Carbs were a little bit high, but you can see here I was at 120, but my fats were on the lower end. So they've kind of balanced each other out. So I'm actually happy to say yes, that I am compliant this week. My current weight this morning was 63.7. Am I close to my menstrual cycle? I don't know, guys. I've had it so many times now. I don't know. I think I had PMS symptoms last week. I had all the pain, all the discomfort, all of the stuff, girls, you know what I'm talking about, but I never actually got it. So I don't know, maybe those heavier weigh-ins last week were anticipating that, but we know the leaner we get, obviously it's less likely that I'm actually going to keep a regular cycle. It's going to become more irregular. In fact, I reckon I'm done. I'm getting ab veins. Like women, no, we shouldn't look like this. So I wouldn't be surprised if I don't get it now until I actually start to come back out post-show. So I'm going to put no. I don't know. We'll see here. Check-in complete. Nice work. Since your body is responding well, we are not going to make any changes. Keep up the great work. Sickly, I was hoping it would give me a calorie increase, but yeah, that's probably not gonna happen. So we are staying at 1,302 calories today. This week, 144 protein. I'm just gonna keep that balance how it is. And this week I really need to do some due diligence with planning, making sure that my fats don't go too low, and that's just gonna be me tempering my protein intake. That's all that was last week. Okay, so we've got this. We have the kids this week, so it's always a little bit more stressful. There's always extra responsibilities the weeks we have the kids. So I lose about 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm gonna say about 10 hours of the week to parenting responsibilities in the evenings. So for anyone that sends me an email inquiry on the weeks that we have the kids, that's the thing that doesn't get responded to on the children's week. So on my schedule at the moment, I think I have probably about 15 tasks listed in there every day. I sent it to Brian. Brian is nodding his head. I sent him my schedule this morning and I'm like, I think I'm meant to be in 2 places at once here at some point. I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna happen. So at the end of every day, sometime between 7 and 8 p.m. is usually my schedule to check my emails, kind of go back, respond to urgent things. But I also have 2 beautiful kids at home that I've got to read stories to and spend some time, otherwise I'm neglecting myself as a parent. So I have to make some time for that, and it might be that I sit in bed and respond to you guys. I don't know yet. We'll have to see. But that is all from me this week. I am just I don't know, I'm just in survival mode right now, guys. If you are doing a fat loss phase 2, I wish you all the very best of luck with the rest of your training week. For those of you that are following along using the Road to Worlds program on the BioLaid Workout Builder and or who are using Carb and Diet Coach, join me on my personal Facebook page. So we do have a specific group that you can request to join. It is simply called the Road to Worlds. I guess you guys get a little icon on Facebook. It's pretty much me just laying there like this. You'll know which one it is. So request to join. I will accept you. There's a bunch of girls. I think we have about 900 girls that are subscribed to that page just for this event, that are all here kind of supporting each other, checking in, seeing how you're doing, sharing your awesome results. I've seen some really great transformations so far. So keep up the great work. And I guess I will see you at next check-in. Hopefully a whole lot leaner.